Welcome gamers to this very short one-off video. This is really just an announcement video to let you know. This is so surprising to see these sort of specials for Distant Worlds 2. Distant Worlds 2 at the moment for a very short period. Now it says it's going to end on the 1st of November. That is for me, but I'm in Australia and I'm a day ahead of most of the other time zones. So it'll be the 31st of October will actually be when the special ends. So just be aware of that, even though you're seeing it the 1st of November. 60% off. That is unheard of for Distant Worlds 2. I've never seen it before. I don't think I'll ever see it again, to be honest, or maybe in years down the track. But if you've been on the fence and thinking, oh, you know, be interested, maybe I should get it, now is the time to jump. Grab it. You also then have the two older DLCs for 40% off, and these are great DLCs. And then you have the new Return of the Shakturi as well, which is fairly pricey for what it actually, you know, for a DLC. But this is 10% off as well. So you're essentially getting it through here. Now, the numbers that you're seeing through here are Australian dollars, which are, the Australian dollar is worth about 70 US cents. So essentially it's going to be, yeah, so these are cheaper anyway if you're thinking about it in US dollars. But anyway, 60% off, 40% off the DLCs, and 10% off for the brand new DLC which just launched today. So that's the big announcement. And I will actually be doing live streams on both YouTube and on Twitch over the coming week or two to really sort of show this content, because there's an awful lot that this brings to the game. It's not just end game stuff. Let me show you in their news announcements. If I just go into Community Hub and we'll go down to one of the devlogs, if I can find one. There we go, there's devlog number 2. I'll just scroll up and down. If we go up, I'll start at 3 and then we'll go backwards. So devlog number 3 talks about the free stuff coming if you don't get the if you only get do the update in the base game. So this is war management, war missions, and economic balance is what now sort of comes back into the free update for the game. And there's a lot of different things in through here. So the you've got all these, and I'll show you this in game when I'm actually playing it, but you've now got a much better way of actually targeting and looking at all the different targets. Again, I'm just going to skim over this for now, but this is actually a massive step forward. I'm thinking it will probably still keep on evolving over time. I'm hoping it does, because I would still like to see some other things added to it personally, but I really like where this is going. So we've got war targets, we've actually got war missions now, which makes the wars a bit more engaging and a bit more as if you've actually got an actual objective now, and it's not something that you decide. And again, I think that this needs a bit of work over time, but it's a great start. So I quite like where this actually is, where where you've actually then got your various sort of like your war missions to get to, and you end up getting points through the war missions. These are incredibly important when you actually get into what's called the Shakturi War, because this is a big way of actually stepping forward in that war, but it's also has a massive impact on your actual wars that you then play in the game. And this is where I think it needs a bit more balance than what it's currently got, but it's a great addition. So very welcome to see that one through there. Other things we actually have is, this is more of the war mission type sort of stuff. They're very varied, and what they tend to do is they add a lot to the war scores, and this for me is probably the biggest negative, is the actual amount that it actually impacts the actual war score itself. I don't think it should be anywhere near as high. That would be one way of probably sort of doing it, and I wish that we had a bit more choice as to what those missions are going to be. You will end up with about 3 per war. You've also then got different things like with the bombarding. The AI will now bombard your planets, which it used not do, or used not do effectively. What else have we got? We've got various sort of spy improvements. Anyway, that's sort of like, there's a lot of stuff in the free one. Yeah, what else was there? That was pretty much it. But that's still a lot for the free update. Let's go down now and find the number 2. Is that still a little way down? This is the devlog number 2. This is actually now something that comes once you actually have the DLC. This for me was probably the most exciting of all of the devlogs, dev blogs, or whatever you want to call it, for the simple reason that the changes that were made to this are not end game changes. These are changes that are there right from the start, and you will make use of them. But you do need to have the DLC, the Return of the Shakturi DLC, to make good use of these. And so if you do actually have these, what you'll then find is that you've got, and it'll still have things that are still part of the Shakturi Alliance, but it is available right from the very, very start. So you've got things, for example, like where you can now build outposts as well as colonies. The outposts allow you to expand a little bit better and to claim different types of resources more effectively. It's an interesting addition to the way that the game does expand. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll be doing much more detail in my actual playthroughs. In this next one, we've got is the the support cost of the outposts. You still build a colony ship to make an outpost, but you can put an outpost on very, very poor quality planets. And there's reasons for doing that one through there. The next thing is alliances. So if you play with the Shakturi story mission turned on, you will then have to, ultimately the only alliances you can form are the Freedom Alliance, which is against the Shakturi, or the Shakturi Alliance, which is, to fight with the Shakturi when they do come in. But if you turn that off, you can then actually have your own alliances and almost like form a federation of planets. And I find this a really interesting aspect of the game. And so even if you don't like the end game stuff, there's a lot to pick up with just playing the game. So anyway, that's pretty cool. So there's the alliances now, where you do actually have, beyond the alliance system that was there before, but you can actually now have a federation of like-minded factions that all sort of work together, which and again, it's sort of like Star Trek, I guess, in that sort of sense. So we sort of end up with something a bit more like this. This is sort of what you get, like when you form an alliance, you end up with all sorts of different pacts and treaties and things that are all just part of the actual alliance itself. You also then have to vote on different things. So it's a whole other diplomacy aspect of the game which hasn't been there before, which is very, very cool. And you can see there, this is the Shaktir Axis versus the Freedom Alliance. This is if you do actually have the Return of the Shakturi endgame crisis turned on, then that's the only alliance that you will ultimately be able to form. But if you don't have that turned off, you can form any alliance you like, which is fantastic. Not from this very start, but certainly mid-game. Now, this is a bit showing the voting, etc. And through here, just showing the bits and pieces. If someone's going to come into an alliance, they have to be voted in, things like that. So the refugee start is another really, really interesting start to the game. So this is actually one where you just start with almost like a Battlestar Galactica type start, where you've actually got like a collection of ships trying to essentially make like they've arrived in the galaxy and now have to try to find a home. And so you end up with like a colony ship or two colony ships, depending on the start that you have, different things like that. So it's very, very cool the way that one does sort of kick in. And so that's a fun way to start the game as well. It's really only really for players who are experienced, because there's a lot of micromanagement you have to do to get on top of things at the start. But it's very, very enjoyable if you do know the game. And that's sort of enough of that, I think. Like that will end this. Again, there's a lot of changes in through here. Then, of course, we've got the devlog number 1 then goes through the actual Shakturi crisis, which talks about the actual Shakturi coming. It talks about the mega ships that you then end up getting. Like there's different mega ships with a different theme for every faction. Like, so they've got a Planet Destroyer with a super mass weapon, Planet Destroyer with a super beam weapon. Some of them aren't even just super weapons. Like some of them are this mega ship with massive gravitic pulse weapon. This one here is the Tekin with a massive iron bomb weapon to sort of disable masses of ships. So they've all got different types of things. The Xenox super stealthy mega ship with super long range sensors, so they can sort of see everywhere, sort of thing. With their mega ship. So the mega ships, again, you need the DLC to run this, but these are sort of, again, more end game type ships. But again, if you turn off the crisis, these ships are available to you, and the Planet Destroyers as well. Like you'll be able to sort of get hold of these as well. So there's a lot of really cool things with the way that these sort of do operate, and there's so much more that I haven't really been able to sort of touch on. But I don't want to spend too long on this particular video. I did want to let you know about the specials. There is a link in the description, and yeah, if you want to go and grab it, go and grab it, because now is the time, guys. Now is the time. This is an amazingly good game, so much better than the actual. If I just go back out to the store page, it's frustrating when you've got a game that you know is an absolute like an absolute well beater in terms of what it does do, and it's just got a mostly positive type score, like 70%. It's much better than this. But I think that I'll certainly be going through how to approach it. Just your mindset has a massive amount of a big factor in how much you enjoy the game. You've really got to go in looking at it as if you are playing a simulation and not a game, and then it's so much more engaging when you approach it that way. This is not a typical game where you've got to quickly rush and expand or do anything like that. You've got to do what you need to do within the simulation of what's presented, and it is different every time you play it. Thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you on the live streams.